My name is Missam, am I right? Hello people of the world, my name is Missam and welcome back to my channel. I'm a writer, I'm a reader, I'm a science fiction and fantasy junkie, so if you're into that kind of stuff, go ahead and hit subscribe. Today I'm going to be talking about two books. I'm going to do two mini reviews of Starlight by Hannah Lee Kidder as well as You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. Depending on when I put this video up, I've probably read the books a long time ago. You Should See Me in a Crown, as of today, when I'm filming this video, I read it like 2-3 weeks back, so I've already forgotten a lot of things that I wanted to say about the book, which is really typical of me. But Starlight I have read around a week ago, so I just wanted to do mini reviews because You Should See Me in a Crown I've read a long time back and my thoughts are kind of scattered, but I really wanted to talk about that book on my channel. And then there's Starlight, which is a collection of short stories, so I haven't really reviewed a short story book before, but I just wanted to talk about it because I love Hannah Lee Kidder and I wanted to promote her book because she is awesome and Starlight is so good, guys. I'm going to start with You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This book was super hyped when it was released, and the reason why I want to again do this review after a while, after it's been released, after like a month or so, is because I want to keep the hype for the book up because this book is so important and I really love the writing style and everything that this book has to offer. This book follows the life of Liz Lighty, who is a black girl in a predominantly white school and in a predominantly white society in which the culture is predominantly white, so she feels like a bit out of place in such a school and in such a culture, and this book sort of follows Liz in her journey to become prom queen, and it's based on this competition. And then Liz ends up falling in love with a girl who is also competing to be prom queen, and Liz really needs to become prom queen because she needs the scholarship that comes with it in order to get to her dream school and pursue her dream career. So the stakes are pretty high. First thing that struck me about reading this book was the voice and the pacing. Both of them were really well done. Like, I didn't even realize how quickly I was going through the book. Sure, it was an audiobook, but I did not feel like stopping. So the pacing was on point. And number two was the characterization. I really liked it. Being inside Liz's mind was super interesting. She was a really engaging and a really fun protagonist to follow. She was really relatable and really sympathetic. Now here's the thing, it is based on an American high school, and I don't know how that experience is because I haven't been to an American high school, but still the way Liz has been portrayed, I still found her really relatable, even though it's not that I did not understand the experiences she was going through because I've grown up watching a lot of movies based on American high school experience, but I did not relate to it. Like, I don't get the whole prom king, prom queen experience. I don't see what the hype is about. We don't have that kind of thing here. But the author really makes us care for what happens to Liz, and since Liz cares about this competition, I as the reader cared about the competition as well. So as I said, I've grown up watching a lot of movies based on the American high school experience, and this book had a very similar vibe. It felt really nostalgic, and I felt like I'm back in my teens watching like that kind of movie, only this one had like a lot more diversity. I felt like it had more depth. This book has really good movie quality, so if it ever gets made into a movie, I will not be surprised, and you best believe that I'm gonna watch that movie because this movie is gonna be so good because this book is so good. In terms of the rest of the characters, I really found myself like getting pretty attached to them. Every single one is so unique. Every single one of them has a very interesting and a very like specific voice. The best part was that usually what happens in certain books, at least not in all of them, the background characters kind of just mesh into one blob. Never happened in this book, not even for a second. Every single person was very individual and had their own like good and bad traits. A lot of them had their own arcs, and a lot of them felt like they had their own lives which they were living simultaneously as Liz. So I really loved that and I really appreciated that. The friendships that were written were truly genuine and felt authentic, with their ups and downs, with all of that. Also, Liz had that one friend, I think her name was Stone, or like basically the really like the weird one, the one that is like very meta, like the, I think her name was Stone, and I did write down a note which says Stone is so stoned all the time, and I found that note really funny. I just did not like that antagonist. I don't remember what her name was, but she felt like a very like typical high school bitch. I've seen that so many times, but again, she kind of added to that nostalgic teen drama feel that this book had, only that this one was 100 times more deep than a lot of what we regularly see, because this one tackles a lot of deeper issues and themes that those did not. For example, the one most important theme that this book obviously tackles is racism. Now, I am not an Own Voices reviewer for this book, so I don't have much to say about it, but what I did like was just how angry I felt at every single instance when there was casual racism against Liz. Like, there's this part where this guy finds her, like he thinks that she is Jordan's girlfriend, and he just goes like, oh my god, is that your hair? Is that real? Tries to touch it, and basically like casual racism. It is a huge deal, and it's so sad that people might think that, so what? I mean, he touched her hair, so what? No, shut up. And just the way people would often look at her, and the fact that she was black and she was poor and she lived in a rich white society, that just added to her troubles. And people sort of viewed her as an outsider, even though she was like part of like a great friend group. When she tries to actually make a place, carve out a place for herself in their world by competing to be prom queen, she faces a lot of backlash. Her win is so uncertain, and this is like a typical underdog story, and I really like that kind of stories. So I liked how the arc went. I loved all the victories, the triumphs. Like, when Liz was having a good time, like every time she would score a win in like any of those events, there are a couple of places, like there's this one particular scene where like the entire school is doing a very sweet thing for her. Jordan organizes it. And there's this one scene where there's this art installation that one of her friends make. It's all so good. Like, those parts, I'm just like, hell yeah. I'm not an authority on that fact. I just really liked the way it was done. Own Voices readers and reviewers, I would love to know what you have to say about it, so make sure that you comment below. Tell me what you liked, what you disliked, what you agree and disagree with me on. I would love to start a conversation. I even like the way this book dealt with anxiety, because that is something that I struggle with, and I totally understood how the way Liz was dealing with it, the way like she would have these attacks. Of course, she has it like in the book, from what I can tell, she has it way worse than I do. I really liked the way it felt really authentic, and it felt really like relatable, understandable. I really loved how her friends were there for her. Jordan was probably one of my favorite characters. I love Jordan, like he was my favorite character apart from Liz. I really liked the relationship Liz shared with her grandparents. I really liked their characterization. I loved her relationship with her brother, and I really sympathized with her brother and with everything that he was going through himself. Finally, the romance in this book was so sweet. I absolutely adored it. The love interest was amazing. I found her really interesting. She was not my favorite love interest to ever exist, but I still really liked her. I just really liked the dynamics that they shared, and the way their relationship sort of progressed felt really real and cute. At the end of the book, I did cry a little bit. I mean, I squealed. Like, there were a couple of places where I just went like. So that is all I have to say about You Should See Me in a Crown, and usually I would do like a longer video, but that's all I have to say about it today. Next, let's move on to Starlight by Hannah Lee Kidder. I really don't know how I am supposed to review a short story book, but there were 2 short stories. All of them were amazing, but 2 of them, oh my god, I love them so much. The last one, and there's this one in the middle called Margrove. If you're into darker themes, a bit of horror, just a very like spooky or like sad. Okay, now that I say it, the book is kind of depressing and scary, but not in a bad way. It's not easy to pull off good horror, and Hannah has apparently mastered the art, and I don't usually say it easily. I genuinely really had a great time reading some of these stories in here. Some of them, I don't remember which ones. I was like, okay, all right, I'll read it. But especially two of them, the rest were of course great. Especially two of them were so good. And guys, you need to read Mark Grove and Passing Ghosts. They were so well written. Again, I don't know how to review a short story collection, so I'm gonna focus more on the technical parts of the writing. So I don't know if you guys have read the more adult stories or like the darker stories of Roald Dahl. I don't want to compare two authors, but I did think this while reading the book, so I'm just gonna say it anyway. This book has that kind of a vibe. I mean, the most common one would be Lamb to the Slaughter. So if you've read Lamb to the Slaughter, this book has very similar stories. Like it's spooky and it's unsettling in some places, and there is horror, and some of them are just heart-touching. That's not how I would describe Lamb to the Slaughter, but anyway, Hannah has really done a phenomenal job when it comes to pacing, when it comes to just structuring short stories. I personally find short stories super difficult to write, way more difficult than a novel, because in terms of a novel I have a lot of words to play around with, but in terms of a short story you need to say a story as coherently and as concisely as possible, and I haven't learned how to do that yet. Maintaining your pacing, you need to make sure that you're not wasting words. Like everything from your line-to-line pacing to your overall pacing has to be absolutely perfect in order for that short story to really hit the mark. And most of the stories in this book do that. I cannot begin to explain to you just how much I enjoyed some of these stories. I have not read Hannah's first book, which is Little Birds. I do have it on my TBR. I will read it very soon. As I said, I don't know how to review short stories. I'm just gonna say that this book was like a 4.5 stars for me if I had to rate it, because I genuinely enjoyed it a lot. I loved the tone, the themes, the setting, the pacing, whatever characterization you can get in a short story. Again, I'm not very used to this kind of storytelling, but whatever I got, I really enjoyed. The way it was written, a few scenes just left me breathless. I was just like, okay, now what's gonna happen? Now what's gonna happen? Now what's gonna happen? And you get the gist, right? It was really well done, and I need to stop fangirling, and you need to buy this book. Pre-order it. Trust me, you're not gonna regret it, especially if you're into short stories. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not into short stories, you may not appreciate it that much, and if you're not into these themes, you may not, but give it a try anyway. If you want to start reading short stories, this is a great book to begin with, especially if you like this dark setting kind of a thing. So yeah, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you add these books to your TBR and that you enjoyed my reviews about them. Starlight is available for pre-order as of now. I guess by the time I should be putting this up, it should be available for pre-order. Make sure that you check Hannah's channel out. Make sure that you read You Should See Me in a Crown, because boy, this book is worth the hype, and I hope that the hype for this book does not die down. Read more books by indie authors, by authors of color, black authors. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up and comment down below what you thought about my reviews. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel, because I'm a hoe for subscribers. You can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on my blog. All links are listed down below. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.